The chicks.
Other than the chicks?
What's the best part? God, there's so many good things about America. Like, the freedom.
Football! That's right. You know, I stay hidden.
Pate?
Well, to me, one thing I really do enjoy about America, particularly happens on the two coasts. And I really like that we're able to be progressive and environmentally and with technology and just kind of setting a standard for the rest of the country and for the world. So, I mean, that's one thing I definitely appreciate. There's plenty of other things I don't, but that's one thing I'm proud of.
Well, the amount of freedom I have.
I like the diversity of opinion and of cultures, and I think also like the commitment to democracy and freedom.
I'd say I'm a big fan of power transferring from one group to another without violence, like you see in Kenya and less civilized places.
The excess, I guess.
The excess?
I'm never really sad.
You're never sad.
We're just the coolest country in the world.
English! Like someone who's a nothing can build their way up. Technically. It doesn't really happen, but technically.
My favorite part is that I have the freedom to do whatever I want.
We have a lot more freedom than like other countries to do what we want. Like
California has really good sushi.
So, like, it's nice living in a democracy and you don't have to like
Self-serving.
Self-serving.
No, inherently nothing. Savage, huh? Inherently nothing, but ultimately self-serving. Ultimately, will act on their own inclinations and will have a mix of good and bad.
Human nature as a whole, I think it's good because everybody has good in their heart. Everybody's nice deep down, even though sometimes it seems as people are bad.
Ooh. Dude, you can't ask me that question.
What did I can't answer that question?
There's so many answers to that question. It's too broad. You gotta.
I think human nature is human nature.
You can't fix human nature. That's why it's
like I think human nature is driven off competition, and it's like the strive to get up in society, get up in ranks, or win a basketball game.
I think it's mostly good. I mean, in some people, obviously it's bad, but I think in most people, human nature is good.
I think that humans have the intention of being good, but it's not always turned out that way because humans are also very greedy.
I don't know. I think it like starts out good, like people are born good, but I don't know. I think that like selfishness kind of takes over a lot of the time. So I guess there's good and bad in everyone.
I think as humans, we are good, but we are corrupted.
I think the term human nature is used too much, and I think that there's no universal human nature, and that, you know, it varies from person to person, and I don't really think that there is one human nature that can encompass the whole population, the whole human.
I would say that Matt Calby embodies human nature at its peak.
Thing is, innately humans are good. Is the tendency to
he's asking if human nature is inherently good. And I'm gonna go with the John Locke theory that humans are born a blank canvas. Alright? Now we have the want to get above, and often that corrupts us. The ambition often corrupts us. However, we can still, if the canvas is painted correctly, we can still be moral human beings.
If you're using Matt Calvey as your model for human nature,
I think that human nature is, in most part, good. It's not completely self-serving. I think there's to some aspects, like there's altruism in human nature.
I think it's bad. I think people are like really like selfish and greedy. Human nature is good. No,
I think it's inherently good.
Inherently, we already know your opinion,
McCall. I think human nature is good. I mean, there's definitely some things that you'd think would make human nature inherently bad, but then you look at all positive. If everyone were angels, we wouldn't need a government.
You shouldn't make the rich pay all of their money because they earn that, and they earn that
Calvin.
more than the poor did.
Okay.
But because they are more fortunate, they should want to help out the rest of their fellow citizens of the United States.
I guess if we're commies.
I don't know. I think they have kind of like a social obligation, but I feel like maybe it seems like it's wrong for the government to impose taxes on people just because they're wealthy.
Mhm.
But I feel like it should be kind of like a social or like a cultural like obligation, just that everyone does it anyway.
I think that taxes should be a basis of your income. Like, you should pay higher taxes if you're making more money, but I don't think that they should be targeted to support the lower class just because they're more wealthy. Like, if they want to support them, then they can do that through charitable organizations. They don't have to be forcibly taxed.
Sure. You do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it like depends on how much, but like it makes sense to tax rich people more than poor people. But
I think obviously there should be everyone should be taxed fairly equally. Obviously, except at a certain, I think maybe at like a certain level, like if you're so poor, then maybe you should be like tax exempt.
There's no really way to make everyone like completely equal.
Unless we're living in a communist country.
I think it should be like a gradual raise in the income tax. Not so much that the rich are like paying a lot more to help people, but I think it should be a little bit, because I don't think it's fair for people who work a lot and don't make that much money to be taxed the same as people who work.
I think that in a capitalist and like democratic society, you're always going to have, if you have a high class, you're always going to have a low class, and there's like no way to get rid of that. So even if we like do whatever we try to do, like donate, charities, everything, there's still always going to be a low class if there's a high class, and there's like only so much you can do to help them, and like there's only so much that they can do to help themselves.
Yeah, I think they should. I know it comes out of our taxes, but I think it's important. Homelessness is such, obviously we live near San Francisco, we see that homelessness is like one of the biggest epidemics, one of the biggest problems in the US.
No, I think, well, to an extent.
I think to a certain degree, yes, but I think for the most part, no.
That I think tax should be based on your income.
To some extent, yeah. I mean, I think that part of, like, if you want to have a functioning society, I think that poverty isn't good for a functioning society.
I think that each woman, it's like her private decision, not the government decision that they should make.
Yeah.
And
I think a woman should definitely be able to choose.
yeah, me too. I think like people say that the man should have just as equal of a role, but the woman's the one that like has to give birth and kind of has to deal with the responsibility a lot more. And I think that like a woman should have the right to choose whether or not she thinks it's morally right.
I think they should have the right to choose. I mean, I'm sure if we were men, I'm sure we'd have the right to choose.
Yeah. Yes. Especially if like it involves like rape and everything.
I'm also pro-choice. Like, I think you shouldn't use abortion as just like a birth control, but I think abortion is good because we should value the quality of life over the quantity, I guess.
I tend to be fairly anti-abortion, and it will probably get me into some trouble. But I would say that the only time I'm really for pro-abortion or pro-choice is when it would harm the life of the woman.
Maybe like a limit on abortions.